Have you ever done something so crazy, even you can't believe it? That was me, standing in Lisbon's airport, pockets impossibly light. I had a backpack, hope, and $600 to my name. I wanted to see if I could truly live in one of the most beautiful countries on a shoestring budget. The air was salty, sweet with pastry, and full of possibility. A student helped me buy a metro ticket, my first taste of Portugal's kindness. That night, listening to the city hum, I thought, I think I'm going to like it here. Finding a place to live on a shoestring budget is an adventure in itself. Forget fancy apartments with ocean views. I was diving deep into the world of quartos, single rooms for rent in a shared apartment. My search took me away from the polished tourist centers and into the real beating heart of Lisbon's neighborhoods. I eventually found a room in a rambling old apartment owned by a woman named Senora Elena. She was in her 70s, with sharp, intelligent eyes and a laugh that could fill the whole building. The room was small, just big enough for a bed, a tiny desk, and a wardrobe. It wasn't glamorous, but it was clean, it was safe, and at €250 a month including all bills, it was a miracle. Living with Senora Elena was my first real education in Portuguese daily life. She would often leave a small plate of whatever she was cooking for dinner outside my door. This wasn't just a room for rent, it was a home. The adventure was truly underway. With my housing secured, my next challenge was food. How do you eat well in a culinary capital when you're counting every single euro? The answer, my friends, is not in the restaurants, it's in the mercados. The local markets are the lifeblood of every Portuguese neighborhood. I quickly learned to skip the sterile, overpriced supermarkets and head straight for places like the Mercado de Arroyos. Here, the food isn't just sitting on a shelf, it's presented with pride by the very people who grew it, caught it, or baked it. My weekly shopping trip became a cherished ritual. For about €25 a week, I could fill my bag with enough fresh produce, fish, eggs, and bread to cook all my meals. My diet had never been healthier or more delicious. I was eating simple, beautiful food: grilled sardines with boiled potatoes, hearty vegetable soups, salads bursting with flavor, and toast with local honey. This wasn't just about saving money. It was about connecting with the food and the people who provide it. I was spending less on food than I ever had in my life, yet I was eating better than ever before. And it was absolutely wonderful. When most people think of Portuguese music, they think of fado, that soulful, melancholic sound that pours out of the little bars in Alfama. But I soon discovered that the musical soul of Portugal is so much richer and more diverse than just one genre. On my tight budget, expensive fado shows were out of the question. Instead, I found myself drawn to the free, raw, and incredibly powerful music that happens in the streets, in the parks, and in the small, local community centers. One evening, while wandering through a neighborhood festival, I stumbled upon something magical. It was a group of students, all dressed in black cloaks. This was a tune-up. They played guitars, mandolins, and accordions, singing lively, romantic songs with incredible passion. It was infectious, a pure celebration of life and youth. Then there was the cante Alentejano. I first heard it on a weekend trip to the Alentejo region. This music, recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, was born in the fields. These experiences taught me that to find the real culture, you have to listen. It was music that wasn't made for profit. It was made for the joy of it. Every culture has its secrets, its traditions, that exist just below the surface, invisible to the casual observer. In Portugal, I started to notice these little rituals, these quiet customs, that are so ingrained in daily life that locals don't even think of them as traditions. One of the first I discovered was the jogo do pau, or the game of the stick. It looked like a martial art, a graceful and dangerous dance with long wooden staffs. This tradition, I learned, has roots in the rural north of Portugal. It's not something you'll find advertised on a tour brochure. Another fascinating and somewhat forbidden tradition I learned about was the world of the curandeiros and bruxas, the healers and witches. In small villages, especially in the north, there is still a deep-rooted belief in folk magic and healing. These hidden traditions are everywhere if you know how to look. They are the secrets that the country shares with you when you stay long enough to earn its trust. If you really want to understand Portugal, you have to understand the importance of sitting down to eat together. Food is not just fuel here. It's the glue that holds families and communities together. And nothing showcases this better than a local festival or festa. Almost every town and village has a festival for its patron saint. And these are not solemn religious affairs. They are explosions of joy, food, and music that take over the entire town. My budget meant I couldn't afford fancy meals. But at a festa, you don't need them. The streets themselves become one giant open-air restaurant. My first festa was in a small neighborhood in Lisbon. The air was thick with smoke from dozens of grills set up on the sidewalks. People don't sit at private tables. They stand together, sharing food, plastic cups of wine, and conversation. These gatherings are where you see the true generosity of the Portuguese spirit. This is the real communion of Portugal. In Portugal, I may have been poor in euros, but I was rich in experiences, rich in food, and rich in the warmth of human connection. When people hear Algarve, they usually picture sprawling resorts, golf courses, and crowded tourist beaches. And yes, that part of the Algarve exists. But with my tiny budget, that world was completely inaccessible to me. So, I went looking for the other Algarve, the one that exists just a few kilometers inland from the coast. What I found was a region of quiet beauty, ancient traditions, and incredible warmth. I took a bus to the town of Silves, the ancient Moorish capital of the region. Instead of tourist shops selling sunscreen, I found small workshops where artisans crafted things from cork and pottery. The pace of life was slower here, dictated by the sun and the seasons. I spent my days hiking in the Serra de Monchique mountains. My time in the inland Algarve taught me a valuable lesson. The most advertised version of a place is rarely the most interesting one. By stepping away from the crowded coast, I found the true soul of the region. The real treasures of the Algarve aren't on the beach. They're hidden in its hills and in the hearts of its people. Living in Portugal on $600 a month was an intensive course in the art of living. I learned happiness isn't about money, but about sunsets with friends, laughter, and simple pleasures, like the taste of a warm pastel de nata or a walk through winding cobblestone streets. The real treasures are connection, beauty, and appreciating life's simple moments. My time in Portugal, living on what seemed like an impossible budget, came to an end. But the lessons I learned, the friendships I made, and the flavors I tasted will stay with me forever. This country gave me a gift far more valuable than any souvenir. It gave me a new perspective on life. It showed me that a rich life is not about having more, but about appreciating more. It's about finding joy in a shared meal, beauty in an ancient tradition, and warmth in the smile of a stranger. It's about slowing down enough to truly see the world around you. You don't have to sell everything you own and move here with $600 to find this magic. But I invite you to look for it. When you travel, I encourage you to step off the beaten path. Eat at the small, family-run tasca. Visit the local market instead of the supermarket. Ask questions. Listen to the stories. Let your curiosity be your guide.